Let me ask you a question. Have you ever opened a bag of chips, planning to eat a handful, and somehow found yourself staring at an empty bag and wondering what happened? Of course you have. We've all been there. And maybe you've told yourself, I need more willpower. I need more discipline. I need to try harder. But what if that's not actually the problem? What if the food was designed to make you keep eating? Trust the what? Part 1. The Willpower Lie. For years, we've been told obesity is simple. People eat too much, move too little. Case closed. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. But if overeating is simply about willpower, why do smart people struggle? Why do doctors struggle? Why do nutritionists struggle? Why do fitness coaches struggle? Why do basically all human beings struggle?
Weird.
Because modern food isn't playing fair. Have you ever watched Breaking Bad? Walter White is like the big food companies that make ultra-processed food. Let's hear what Walter had to say.
Jesse, you asked me if I was in the meth business or the money business. Neither. I'm in the empire business.
Imagine sitting down to eat a baked potato. Plain, no butter, no cheese, no bacon, no sour cream, just potato. How many plain potatoes could you eat? 2, 3? Now let's change the question. How many potato chips could you eat? Exactly. One tells your brain, I'm full. The other says, keep going, champ. Part 2. What is an ultra-processed food? Now let's define what we're talking about. Ultra-processed foods aren't simply processed foods. Cooking is processing. Freezing vegetables is processing. Grinding coffee beans is processing. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about foods that are manufactured more than cooked. Ultra-processed foods are industrial products. Products engineered using ingredients you probably don't keep in your kitchen. Ingredients like maltodextrin, modified starches, emulsifiers, artificial flavor systems. Most people probably couldn't identify half of these ingredients. They're often manufactured more than cooked. Think about chips, cookies, candy, soda, packaged pastries, many breakfast cereals, many frozen meals, and yes, some foods marketed as healthy. Because food companies know something important. People don't buy healthy food. People buy food that tastes good. Part 3. The Bliss Point. Food scientists have a term that sounds like it belongs in a spa brochure. It's called the Bliss Point. It's the perfect combination of sugar, fat, and salt. The Bliss Point is designed to maximize pleasure, not satisfaction, pleasure. Huge difference. Imagine a song that gets stuck in your head. All right, now stop it. That's what food companies are trying to do with your taste buds. Food companies spend millions finding this perfect combination, not to help you stop eating, to help you keep eating. Trust the what? Imagine if your spouse hired a scientist to figure out how to make you more attractive every single year. That's basically what food companies do, only they're doing it to a cookie. And the cookie is winning. Part 4. Why your brain loves this stuff. Your brain evolved in a world where calories were hard to find. Sweet foods were rare. Fatty foods were rare. Food shortages were common. Then modern society showed up like, here's a 64-ounce soda. Here's a family-sized bag of chips. Here's a cinnamon roll the size of your steering wheel. Your brain never got a software update. It's still running prehistoric programming. So when it encounters food loaded with sugar, fat, and salt, it reacts exactly as designed. It says, eat more. Because thousands of years ago, that would have been a survival advantage. Today, not so much. Part 5. The satiety problem. Here's the hidden cost nobody talks about. Ultra-processed foods are often incredibly easy to eat, soft, crunchy, quickly digested, minimal chewing, minimal effort. Which means calories arrive fast, but fullness arrives late. Think about this. You can drink 500 calories of soda in minutes. Try eating 500 calories of broccoli. I'll wait. Exactly. One food practically disappears, the other becomes a life event. Many ultra-processed foods provide lots of energy, but relatively little satiety. So you end up hungry again sooner, which leads to more eating, which leads to more hunger, which leads to, well, you get the idea. Part 6. Why this matters after 50. Now let's bring this back to us. As we age, muscle declines, recovery slows, insulin resistance becomes more common. Activity often decreases, which means the margin for error gets smaller. At 20 years old, you can sometimes survive on pizza and Mountain Dew. At 55, your body files a formal complaint. And suddenly, the foods that once seemed harmless now have consequences. Less energy, more hunger, more cravings, more weight gain, more difficulty losing fat. And then people think, my metabolism is broken. Often, what's actually happening is that they're fighting foods specifically engineered to be overconsumed. Part 7. The good news. Now, before you think I'm about to tell you to never eat another cookie again, relax. That's not the message. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness. Because once you understand what's happening, you stop blaming yourself. Instead of asking, why am I so weak? You start asking, why is this food so easy to overeat? That's a much better question. And often, the answer has nothing to do with character and everything to do with design. 1% challenge. This week's 1% challenge. Pick one ultra-processed food. Replace it 3 times this week. Not forever, just 3 times. That's it. One food, 3 swaps. That's it. Of course, when you see how much better you feel, you'll keep the ball rolling and get rid of more of that addictive stuff. The hidden cost of ultra-processed foods isn't just calories, it's hunger, cravings, overeating, and the feeling that somehow you're failing. Because when food is engineered to keep you eating, the problem isn't always you. Sometimes it's the product. Trust the what? Stop trusting, start thinking. See you in the next one.